bem, eu sou a Carolina Nascimento e eu sou sócia da empresa de consultoria River Global. E a River Global ela é representante do USDEC Export Council na América do Sul. O USDEC, como a gente chama carinhosamente a organização, ela é uma agência que trabalha exatamente para os produtores de lácteo dos Estados Unidos. E a gente tem um trabalho muito próximo também com o Ministério da Agricultura dos Estados Unidos, que é o USDA, e o nosso trabalho é estritamente institucional, técnico-científico e também, claro, de desenvolvimento de negócios. Então, contem conosco para se aproximar dos exportadores de ingredientes lácteos dos Estados Unidos. É um prazer que a gente está aqui hoje com vocês para o nosso segundo webinar. Espero que alguns de vocês tenham participado do nosso webinar anterior no mês passado. E este é o segundo de uma série de 4 eventos online, todos tecno-educacionais. E a gente vai abordar em diferentes momentos, diferentes aspectos dos ingredientes lácteos dos Estados Unidos. Nosso tema de hoje é como os ingredientes lácteos dos Estados Unidos atendem o mercado e as tendências do consumidor atual. Então, a gente vai aprender hoje um pouquinho mais sobre como a gente pode contar com esses ingredientes lácteos dos Estados Unidos para inovar, especialmente em tempos de uma mudança interessante desse mercado consumidor, de um consumidor, talvez com algumas características que foram muito aceleradas por conta da pandemia, e, enfim, vai ser uma discussão muito interessante. Eu gostaria, nesse momento, de dar as boas-vindas aos nossos palestrantes do dia. Então, primeiro eu gostaria de dar bom dia a Terry Rexford, e ela trabalha conosco no USDEC Export Council. Bom dia, Terry.
Good morning, Carolina.
Bom dia. Agora, gostaria de dar as boas-vindas e bom dia ao Nicolas Rubio, que é o diretor do escritório do USDA, do ATO, no Consulado Americano em São Paulo.
Bom dia, Carolina, e bom dia para todos os participantes hoje. Obrigado pelo convite.
Obrigada, Nicolas. E agora, a dona Barry, que é a nossa querida consultora que vai discutir as tendências do mercado hoje conosco. Bom dia, dona.
Good morning to everybody. Wish I had the opportunity to be in person with all of you, but hoping to have a great webinar with everybody. So good morning and welcome.
Concordo, dona, em um futuro próximo. Bom, eu gostaria também de fornecer alguns lembretes agora. Primeiro, esse webinar está sendo gravado, então nós disponibilizaremos essa gravação a todos os participantes depois, por e-mail. Então, fiquem de olho naquele e-mail de follow-up que vocês vão receber do Zoom nos próximos dias. E também, o segundo lembrete é que após todas as apresentações, a gente vai ter uma sessão muito interessante de perguntas e respostas. Então, fiquem à vontade para submeter suas perguntas ou pelo chat ou pela funcionalidade de question and answers, perguntas e respostas aqui do Zoom, tá? Bom, a gente vai começar o evento agora com uma pequena pergunta para vocês, tá? E é um pouquinho também sobre tendências, tá? Então, deixa eu colocar ela na tela antes da gente começar com as apresentações. Tá aqui. Então, a primeira pergunta é sobre inovação, tá? Em quais linhas de produtos você acredita que há maior potencial para inovar? Fiquem à vontade para votar, pessoal. Boa participação. Olha, tá bem dividido, gente. Ok. Mais alguns segundos. Ok, finalizando agora. E muito interessante. E olha só, talvez alguma coisa muito interessante, principalmente quando a gente fala de ingredientes lácteos. A maioria aqui escolheu alta proteína, então acho que vai ser um tópico bastante discutido aqui durante esse webinar hoje. Muito obrigada pela participação. Bom, pessoal, então eu gostaria de proceder exatamente para o início das apresentações. A gente vai começar com a Terry e depois, lembrete, se preparem para a sessão de perguntas e respostas. Estamos bastante ansiosos. Maravilha. Então, vamos começar.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to all of our listeners, and thank you for joining the next U.S. Dairy Ingredient Spotlight webinar in our 2020 series. My name is Terry Rexroad, and I work in global marketing for the U.S. Dairy Export Council. We're pleased to offer today's webinar, How U.S. Dairy Ingredients Fit into Current Market and Consumer Trends. During the webinar, please enter your questions in the box available on your screen, and at the end, we will host a Q&A session. We will answer as many questions as possible, time permitting, and all unanswered questions will be addressed by email after the webinar. First, a little about USDEC. We are a nonprofit membership organization working on behalf of U.S. dairy farmers. Since USDEC was founded in 1995, U.S. dairy exports have increased sevenfold to nearly $5.6 billion annually. In 2019, the U.S. dairy industry exported the equivalent of nearly 16% of U.S. milk solids. We have offices located in export markets around the world, across Asia, the Middle East, and Latin America. Our global team is focused on building demand for U.S. dairy ingredients and cheese. And now I'd like to welcome our speakers. Our first speaker, Nicholas Rubio, is director of the USDA FAS Agricultural Trade Office in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Nicholas will explain how FAS supports U.S. agriculture exports, especially dairy, to Brazil. Our keynote speaker today is Donna Berry, owner of Dairy and Food Communications. Donna has been writing for the dairy trade since 1993, and her email newsletter, Daily Dose of Dairy, focuses on innovations in dairy products. Donna will inspire you with an overview of the biggest global health and nutrition trends and how U.S. dairy ingredients can help South American processors tap into these trends. Welcome, Nicholas and Donna.
Good morning. My name is Nicholas Rubio. I'm the director of the Agricultural Trade Office for USDA here in Sao Paulo. And I'm very glad to be here to present to you information about the U.S. dairy trade dynamics. Before we get to that point, I would like to talk a little about the USDA footprint in Brazil. We have 3 offices, one that I lead here in Sao Paulo, the Agricultural Trade Office, where we focus on trade promotion, market analysis, and market intelligence. But we also have 2 more offices based in Brasilia. One is the Office of Agricultural Affairs. They are very focused on the bilateral trade relationship with Brazil, trade policy, as well as commodity reporting and market intelligence. We also have a very important office, and that is the Animal Plant Health Inspection Service, or APHIS. They are focused on market access, retention of U.S. products, import and export regulations, and trade facilitation. If you need any additional information about our offices, please visit our website where you'll be able to find our contact information, all the activities that we work on, as well as information about USDA in Brazil. I also wanted to tell you more about our market intelligence work. We publish several public reports throughout the year. We call them Global Agricultural Information Network, or GAIN reports, and they are focused on various topics, including commodity reports, such as the dairy industry. We also work on an exporter guide, a food ingredients and processing report, retail report, food service, market briefs on a specific report, specific commodities, as well as import regulations and standards for Brazil. All these reports are, again, publicly available. They're updated every year, and the goal is to help our U.S. exporters and Brazilian importers to understand more about the process to successfully bring American products into Brazil. Also this year, as a result of the pandemic, we've been adapting a lot of our services, including incorporating virtual services into our activities. One that we're very happy to provide to all of you at the beginning of 2021 is our USA platform. This will be a virtual platform where American products will be showcased and importers will be able to not only see what's available, new trends in the US, but also connect with those exporters. Another example of virtual services that we had to adjust and are providing to our stakeholder are the virtual trade events. We just had a very successful one on October 4th. That was a pilot program that went very well, and we're hoping to provide more of these next year and bring more American exporters to Brazil and connect with all of you. So now let's get a little more into the trade dynamics for the U.S. dairy sector. As you can see in this graph, New Zealand, the European Union, and the United States are the top 3 global dairy exporters. And for the U.S. in 2019, I wanted to share a little bit of the highlights, and then we'll talk about what's coming or what's happening in 2020. The U.S. dairy product exports grew in 2019 by 8%, almost $6 billion, despite of a lot of challenges that we face in the trade with the trade environment. Mexico, Canada, and China were our top 3 exports. 44% of our total sales went to those 3 markets. But South America provided a great opportunity for the U.S. dairy sector, and it grew at an impressive pace, 34% increase compared to 2018. What were some of the drivers? Well, first, the higher global prices contributed to the increase in the value of U.S. cheese and skim milk powder exports. Nearly 60% of those exports went to free trade agreement partners or country, including Mexico, Canada, and South America. And again, the increase of exports in 2019 happened despite of a lot of trade policy issues, specifically problems with the Chinese market, where our exports fell by 44% relatively to 2018. And that was mainly due to the retaliatory tariffs, but also the impact of African swine fever in China. Looking ahead now at 2020, exports in the US at the beginning of the year were a concern. Our industry had to adjust from providing a lot of support to the food service sector and concentrate on grocery sales and retail. But even with all those issues brought by the COVID-19 and the adapting to the situation, our industry has been able to continue to meet the demands by our overseas customers. American exports to the world have gone up by 14% through July of 2020 compared to the same time frame the year before. Import demand for dairy products continue to remain strong in developing economies, including in South America. And when it comes to China, as I already mentioned, we are expecting more exports as China continues to rebuild its swine herd that again was impacted by the African swine fever outbreak. Specifically to Brazil, the United States continue to be competitive in their ingredients, mainly sweet whey powder, lactose, and whey powder concentrates. And you can see on the graph to your right how our exports to Brazil compared to some of our main competitors. American exports to Brazil grew by 54% through July of 2020 compared to the previous year. There are a lot of good opportunities, a lot of demand in Brazil, especially for the proteins that can be used for further processing in the Brazilian market. We still are very competitive in the whey protein concentrates or whey protein isolates. That accounts about 60% of the Brazilian market share for the United States. And one of the things that it's important to highlight is a lot of these products are going into the protein market in Brazil and supplement industry, which we continue to see great opportunities for American exporters and for the Brazilian market. So let me talk a little bit about how we see the Brazilian market with the USDA, using the USDA perspective. Let me first talk about the market realities, the opportunities. American products continue to be a trendsetter here in Brazil. There is also strong cultural exchange between Brazil and the United States. A lot of our products are seen by high-end consumers in Brazil as products with good quality. And we do think the Brazilian market is underserved, especially by American products that can provide additional benefits for the Brazilian industry. As anything, there are also constraints that we need to keep in mind. Some of those is currently the dollar fluctuation, as many of you know, that can make our products more expensive. Import procedures can also add costs to our products and at times make them even more expensive than what they should be. This is an example of what I mean that the Brazilian market is underserved by American products. On that pie chart to your left, you will see the biggest market share for consumer-oriented products that include dairy products. They go to Mercosur, mainly Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay. And of course, that has to do with the duty-free access and proximity to the market. But if you look at the European Union has almost 30% of the market share, and they face similar challenges as American products. We currently have a market share of just 5.4%, and we know we can do better, and that's one of the things that our office here in Sao Paulo can do for you to help you identify those products, those exporters, and provide you with information to continue to serve this market. Some of the products that we see or have good sales potential in Brazil, as I mentioned, the protein sector here in Brazil is one that can benefit from a lot of the American dairy ingredients. This is a market that is consumers are looking for healthier products, natural products, and of course, products that can provide a lot of benefits to their lifestyle. And dairy products is a sector that we know we continue to see opportunities in Brazil. Our exporters are very interested in continue to serve this market. And again, we can provide a lot of that assistance in the future for you. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to talk a little bit about our US Food Experience campaign. You can find us on Instagram. And this campaign is an opportunity to highlight the diversity and the high quality of American products to the Brazilian consumers. And I hope you can find us and follow everything that we're doing to promote American products in this market. And with that, I want to thank you for the opportunity and the invitation to be part of this webinar. There is my email, my phone line, and again, our website if you're looking for additional information on what USDA does here in Brazil. Thank you very much.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you about food and beverage innovation in the year 2020. It's not necessarily what we all thought it was going to be, but nevertheless, food is a necessity and dairy is a great product that delivers nutrition. So there's a lot of opportunities for us, and we're going to take a tour of some new products in the marketplace, where the trends are, and where there's opportunity for you to get creative I wish that I could be in your countries, your beautiful countries, meeting you and enjoying your culture. And I'm sorry that we have to do this over a video screen, but nevertheless, I do hope that you get some information from this and can go back into your product development laboratories and get super creative. We're here for you to help. The fact is that product development needs to be explored for the new ways that we're purchasing food, preparing food, and eating food. I mean, who thought that, getting food delivered by a bicycle that you ordered from your phone an hour ago would be the new norm? But nevertheless, it is. And, I don't see this changing in the near future. So where the opportunities are, a lot of portability, products that are single serve, a lot of emphasis on packaging and product integrity, and again, creating dairy products that fit into that space. The fact is we're all staying at home a lot more. We're not eating out, but each member of the household has unique nutritional needs, functional needs. The younger consumer is all into what I like to call the new appetite. It's not only are they eating for sustenance, for energy, for nutrition for their bodies, but they're also into the experience, which is what makes innovation right now so fun, because we're learning to get more creative with our food and more enjoyment out of it. And in fact, as we learn to navigate the COVID-19, the food experience is becoming the highlight of the day for many people. I mean, it's like you almost have to be careful and not overeat, but nevertheless, food is really become once again the focal point of our day, of our families, of us getting together. And older consumers, especially during this time where it seems that they are a much more vulnerable population, they have real needs and wants. Their food preferences change as they age, their taste buds change, the amount of calories they need to take in changes, and their bodies do start to slow down and even break down. And high quality protein is so critical for them to maintain, good performance. And of course, these older consumers, and I'm becoming one of them myself, we want to defy aging. So products out in the market that make some promises to me about living a fuller, healthier, pain-free life are very attractive. And dairy ingredients, primarily dairy proteins, which are high quality protein, and you're going to hear more about that, really have, they deliver on that. It's the science is there, and these consumers recognize that and are embracing it. And younger consumers like that dairy is nutritious, simple, and delicious. It complements the bowl of cereal. It complements the cookies. It's a great refuel drink after a workout. But it's not just, the milk. It's the cheese, the yogurt, the ice cream, the snack foods. Again, delicious, nutritious, and it doesn't get much simpler. And it's all about simplicity. That is really key. The clean label trend, the idea of not putting chemicals in our foods and into our bodies, keeping ingredient legends simple by using dairy ingredients, by using dairy products, milk, butter, non-fat dry milk, whey proteins. These are real foods. They are not chemical sounding names. They are ingredients that people understand and embrace. And again, it's the simplicity. It's all about keeping it clean. And, it wasn't that long ago, though. I mean, this is kind of almost important to take just a little step back in time. Dairy ingredients like primarily whey and the milk protein isolates and, the isolates and the concentrates and all that, that they have always been very much embraced by athletes and, exercise enthusiasts, bodybuilders. But it was very limited, the forms that they could be consumed in. It was primarily bars, which the original ones, 30, 40 years ago were not very delicious, and powdered mixes to make beverages. But because of the dedication of the dairy ingredient suppliers here in the U.S., as well as the universities and institutions, these research facilities, we've identified new formats, more functionality in many of these ingredients, and that has allowed the food product developers to put dairy ingredients into just about every type of food product in the marketplace. So I mean snack foods, breakfast cereals, breads. I have some great examples of products that I can't wait to show you to make you really realize that the opportunities are infinite to formulate with high quality U.S. dairy ingredients. And why? Because dairy ingredients fuel on-trend innovations. It's high protein, so you can make protein-enriched snack foods, satiating endurance and energy. I said clean label. This next one to me is really important, this vegetarian, non-vegan. There's a lot of talk right now about the whole plant-based movement and avoiding, meat products primarily. And the reality is that most of the people who are embracing this new flexitarian type of dieting are not vegan. They're not even necessarily vegetarian. They're just trying to reduce their meat intake. And dairy ingredients make these foods delicious. I mean, what's better than, cheese melted on your vegetables or a butter sauce or creams? So dairy makes plants taste better. That's one of my favorite taglines. It just is a great fit. Lactose free is also an opportunity. There's a lot of, there's technologies to remove the lactose from the ingredients or then on the food manufacturing side. And so no longer can consumers say, oh, I have to avoid dairy because I can't consume lactose or I'm lactose intolerant. We can change that. We can make this product lactose free. And then the whole low carb keto diet space, that it's definitely a growing interest with consumers. And what happens when you make a product low carb? Well, you're increasing the protein content, and especially with the keto diet, you're increasing the fat content. We got that. I mean, creams, whole milks, butters. So dairy ingredients really fit with so many of the trends that are going on that consumers want in the foods that they are embracing and welcoming into the retail market space. And so dairy has really been embraced during COVID-19. During those first 2 months of lockdown that we had here in the U.S., the dairy product sales at the supermarket went skyrocketed. People recognize the good value that you're getting in milk, cheese, butter, ice cream, and the products that include these ingredients, frozen pizzas, prepared meals that have cheese in them, and then high protein food. So the good value, it's familiar, it's comforting. When you're feeding your body and your body is healthy, you are able to boost your immune system and fight off these invading germs. More folks are cooking at home. There was a point in time in the U.S. where the retail shelves of flour, butter, cream empty because people were buying all these products and cooking from home. Increased mindful snacking. This is so important. I mean, for all staying at home more and not really eating out, it's pretty easy to swing by the kitchen and grab a snack here, every couple hours. But most important is that it's not junk food. So more mindful snacking to make sure that what you're putting into your body is healthy and nutritious, and dairy foods are that. We have time for breakfast. No longer is everyone running out the door with a banana in their hand. You can actually sit down and have a bowl of cereal and milk, or an omelet, with cheese, a high protein bagel, and family meals. Oh my goodness. When we were during lockdown here, I have 2 sons, one in high school, one in college. They were both, had to come home doing remote learning on the computer. My husband's working on the computer. I'm working on the computer. 4 of us locked in rooms with makeshift desks. And so when we finally were able to shut down at the end of the day, family meals were so important. We were able to come together and relax, pour a glass of milk and one of those, cooking at home meals that I made. But again, it really was impressive to see how consumers, when they had the time to step back, really embraced dairy for everything it offers. And I expect this to continue on as we are now part of this new normal. So let's go ahead and start exploring innovations that are in the marketplace. Hopefully these will give you some ideas that you can go back to your lab and start doing some product development work. These are cheese crackers, but they're not your ordinary cheese cracker like your cheddar goldfish or your Cheez-It crackers. I think you may have products like that here. I'm actually really disappointed because when I do travel, or when I was able to travel to go to different countries and give this presentation, I always went to a couple of your grocery stores the day before to see what types of products out there so I can make sure I can give comparisons that you can relate to. Unfortunately, I'm stuck here in Chicago and was not able to do that. Maybe someday I'll get to meet you. I wish I was there. But anyway, these cheese crackers are more than just cheese. They are enriched with whey protein concentrate to give 10 grams of protein per serving. Now, how does that compare? Well, your traditional cheese crackers, like I said, like the cheddar goldfish or the Cheez-Its, are about 3 grams of protein, a lot more carbohydrates, whereas these Cheddies crackers, again, the added whey protein concentrate boosts that protein content and makes it a protein snack food. Here is what looks like a chipped, but it's actually more of a baked cracker where whey protein concentrate is the dominant ingredient. And then they are seasoned much like a potato chip. Again, 15 grams of protein in what is a salty snack. We don't really typically think of salty snacks as a protein food, but here you go. We can now do that. And here's another one. We don't typically think of popcorn as providing protein, but these are real kernels of popcorn. They're not some kind of fabricated piece, but real popcorn. But the topping is carefully formulated with multiple U.S. dairy ingredients in order to deliver 10 grams of protein per 2.5 cup serving. Again, something that years ago you would never think you could get from a salty popcorn snack. Here, this is a fabricated piece, a kind of a pellet type snack food, and cheese and milk protein are responsible for providing 6 grams of protein per serving. And then kid snack foods, very important, I'm so happy I don't have little kids anymore, but getting them to be able to eat healthy food is challenging no matter what country you're in, right? So these little snack crackers here have cheese, whey, and buttermilk in them to increase their protein content. And cookies, oh my goodness, you don't really think of cookies ever as being a high protein food. This company is very interesting, the cookie department. They have about 5 or 6 different cookies, all with different functionalities. One of them is caffeinated, so it's a wake me up cookie. This one is tough cookie. It has a proprietary protein blend of partially hydrolyzed milk protein isolate and milk protein isolate. 10 grams of protein per cookie. Again, a fully functional cookie, not something you would expect from a sweet treat. Here's another somewhat sweet treat. This is part of that keto diet eating pattern. This bar includes whey crisps, and these whey crisps are loaded with whey protein concentrate, and then as well as the bar contains milk protein isolate and whey protein isolate. 10 grams of protein per bar, comes in sweet and some savory flavors. Quest. Very interesting company. If it wasn't for dairy proteins, Quest would not exist. They make an array of products, and I'll go through some of them here, all on their protein blend, milk protein isolate, whey protein isolate. Here's a bar, 21 grams of protein per bar. Here are chips that they've made. It's a tortilla type chip. In addition to the milk protein blend, the actual topping, the seasoning is a combination of various dried dairy ingredients to really, again, boost that protein content. I mean, tortilla chips. You don't usually get 20 grams of protein in a serving of chips, right? Here's pizza. They actually put into the crust milk protein isolate and whey protein isolates. And then, of course, the pizza has cheese on the topping. Pizza has now become a high protein food. The company also makes an array of ready-to-drink beverages and powder mixes. Again, Quest would not exist if it wasn't for the dairy ingredients that are the primary component of their foods. This company here, Powerful, they made their debut about 5 or 6 years ago, actually in the yogurt category. Greek yogurt, high protein, powerful yogurt. And then they started to branch out into other categories. And this is a refrigerated snack food. They're little pellets, and with whey protein isolate being one of the dominant ingredients. And that entire container there actually provides 30 grams of protein. They also have these smoothie pouches with reduced fat milk and milk protein concentrate as the primary ingredients. They're great for athletes, people who are running in marathons. When they have to snack up and power up real quick. Here you go. It's an easy thing to do. And here's another thinking outside of the box type snack food. This too is a refrigerated product. It's Greek yogurt bars though. So now it's a handheld snack, almost something that would compete with a candy bar. The inside is Greek yogurt, whey protein, and cultured skim milk. And then it is enrobed in a chocolate type coating. And this is a neat product. It's a yogurt smoothie. It's actually sold in the yogurt department, and it combines yogurt with whey protein isolate, but the emphasis is a lot on the fruit in here. And again, it's kind of that marriage of dairy with plants and how dairy makes this so much tastier. So it's a yogurt smoothie, a refrigerated product. This smoothie here, it's a refrigerated product as well, and it is based on a combination of whole milk powder and whey, and it also has a heavy emphasis on fruits. Juicy juice protein. This is one of those things where I almost always want to say, like, what took so long? So it's a 100% juice product with the added benefit of whey protein isolate in there. One of those pouches is 5 grams of protein per pouch, which really is very impressive for a clear juice type beverage. And this is targeted to kids, something that you put in their lunch boxes or now, I guess, serve as a snack food. Iconic Kids. This is, it can go for a couple ways. It's for kids who might not be good eaters and you're trying to get more nutrition into them. So this product is loaded with milk protein isolate to give them 8 grams of high quality protein in every serving. But they come in really fun flavors, kid-friendly flavors that they'll enjoy. So it's a nutritional beverage for kids. And here's another nutritional beverage for kids. This is Super Breakfast. This is a shelf-stable product, so it's very portable. Of course, it tastes better refrigerated, but low-fat milk and milk protein concentrate, 12 grams in just 1 cup, 1 bottle. And this product here is a up and go. It's supposed to be a breakfast drink. Skim milk powder is the source of the 8 grams of protein in here. But the key here is that it's no added sugar. This product has existed before this liquid breakfast, and it is more for adults. It's just been reformulated now to have no added sugar. This is one of my favorite innovations. It is a patented package, and inside it is a drinkable yogurt. It's being positioned as a breakfast shake, and the actual beverage is low-fat yogurt, but pumped up with milk protein concentrate for 18 grams per 12-ounce bottle. But that tube on top that you see, it's a plastic tube. It wraps around. And you're supposed to take it off, open it up, dump it in the bottle, and shake, shake, shake. And that tube is loaded with ingredients that you wouldn't be able to add ahead of time into a liquid product because they hydrate and kind of blow up. So things like chia seeds and quinoa and just various grains and nuts. Again, it's something that you add it right before you consume it, and it's great texture, great nutrition. This is a nutritional beverage for adults. There's many of these in the marketplace. They keep getting better and tastier. Milk protein concentrate does that. An Atkins product. Here we see it's protein and fiber beverage. So, and it talks about being a steady supply of energy. And I really like how the front carton, if you can see that on the bottom right in that little red tag, it says high quality protein, but not just high quality protein, high quality dairy protein. That is just wonderful. That just shows you the value that they recognize, that the company recognizes, that the consumer sees by knowing that it is dairy and proteins that are in this product. Here's a product that actually just rolled into the marketplace after COVID. It is targeted for diabetics. It's a low glycemic product, so you don't get that sugar boost. As you might know, diabetics are very vulnerable to the COVID virus and need to be extra careful. And again, keeping up their nutrition so that their bodies are strong is paramount. This product here is made with microfiltered milk protein to give 16 grams per drink, no sugar added. Again, so very targeted to a specific consumer, but all about health and wellness. This is one of those really cool products. Again, one of those things where I like to say, what took so long? Imagine a Tide Pod, the detergents, the clothes detergents, or even the pods that you put into a dishwasher that have soap. Basically, that's what this is. It's a whey, but it's 100% whey protein isolate in one pod. So the wrapper is edible and it dissolves, and you simply have your container of water after you work out, and you keep the pods separate. And so then you could just fill up the water, throw the pod in, shake, and you have a drink. You no longer have to measure out the powder or have to worry about it being a ready to drink that's warm and it's been sitting in your bag. You can get cold water, put the pod in, shake, and you've got yourself a ready to drink product now that you've made yourself. This is a refrigerated high protein whey product. The emphasis again being on whey, 30 grams in one bottle, which is really considered quite high. And the emphasis here is that it's an energy milk, and they're calling out the whey protein. This is a product in the UK under the Nestle brand. What I think is really unique about this is that there's a cup product and there's a drinkable product. And when you look at that cup product, you think, oh, it's maybe yogurt. It's not. And the drinkable product is not a drinkable yogurt. It truly is almost a pudding type texture. So it's a spoonable product, but it's whey protein and casein protein. And the emphasis here is that it's equal amounts of whey and casein. So it's very important for replenishing after exercise. You get the instant boost of protein and then the protein that your body absorbs over time. Shamrock. This is a company in Arizona which has been in this refuel business for a long time. All of they're a dairy company, and all of their products are refrigerated and dairy based. They came out earlier this year. Rock and Refuel Energy. It's caffeinated, and you also get the nutrition from the low-fat milk and the milk protein concentrate. This is a Icelandic protein coffee. Two of them are basic formulations. One is a keto variety, and that contains cream and milk protein concentrate. And these are, again, supposed to be energy beverages, refuel. You get the protein, you get the caffeine, all in one bottle. This is a really cool product. Joe Froyo Functional Cold Brew. It's been around for a couple years. It is cultured milk, milk protein isolate, and whey. Those are the 3 dairy ingredients in here to give you 16 grams of protein per bottle, but it's also has so many of the on-trend descriptions or things that consumers are looking for in a product. It's lactose-free, it's probiotic, and it's got the caffeine for natural from the cold brew. So it's delivering on many traits that consumers are looking for. This is to show you, so milk tea is much like a latte, a coffee latte, so coffee and milk, but in tea, IDON is a Japanese company, but they have a presence in the US. I would know if they had a presence here if I was able to go to your grocery store. Really disappointed in that. But this is just a ready-to-drink tea. It's shelf-stable, and they're using skim milk powder. They originally made their debut like a year ago with the black and the matcha, and they just added the jasmine variety earlier this year. So showing you that definitely the marketplace has embraced this as an alternative, something else other than it being a coffee drink. Now you can have a tea milk latte. And bubble tea. This is really neat because it's difficult to do. This is a canned product. It is shelf stable. So it's a bubble tea latte. It has it's the tea with whole milk powder, so it has it's delivering on some protein, and it contains the pearls, the little gelatinized pearls of barley that are flavored, that are inside of the tea, which give you that texture when you're consuming it. And so let's move on to some grain products and show you how amazingly dairy ingredients work in these products. This is a microwavable cup. It's a muffin cup. It has probiotics in it, and it's loaded with protein, whey protein concentrate, buttermilk powder, and butter. And it delivers 20 grams. It's a single serve container. Just add water, stir, microwave, and you've got yourself a muffin. Here are some other concepts similar to that. These are mug cake mixes. So there's multi-servings in there. Again, you scoop some of the mix in, which has whey protein concentrate, add water, stir, microwave, and you've got yourself a high protein mug snack food. Here's another one just to show you different formulation, whey protein concentrate, micellar casein, and again, it's a mug mix. And here's a pancake mix, pancake or waffle, whey protein concentrate, sweet cream, buttermilk powder. Again, you add the water to it, mix it up, put it on the pan, and serve yourself some pancakes and waffles. A high keto instant hot cereal, so sort of a porridge type product or an oatmeal type product with dairy proteins in it, and it's higher in fat. So it's targeted to the keto dieter who tends to avoid grain-based products, meaning cereal. So this is a specially formulated cereal, high in protein, high in fat, just 1 gram of sugar. Protein breads. This is Icon Meals protein bread. Whey protein isolate is the key ingredient. 15 grams of protein per slice. Most people don't think of bread as being a source of protein. This company here does think of bread as being a source of protein, not just bread, but bread, bagels, and wraps. It's P28 because a serving contains 28 grams, and they're relying on whey protein isolate. Mac and cheese. Mac and cheese is always kind of a source of some protein because of the cheese, but this product here also contains whey. And muscle mac, this is a pasta product, again, a mac and cheese where the sauce is really loaded with dairy ingredients, again, to assist with providing that 20 grams of protein per serving. There's cheese, obviously, but then whey, non-fat dry milk, and then butter solids just to make it yummy. This is a cheese spread. So again, kind of back to the dairy case here, but these products are not necessarily using dairy ingredients to boost protein content, but they are using them to make them delicious, smooth, creamy. And so you can see, I talked about earlier about making stuff like dairy products lactose free. This one is. And so this spready cheese is non-fat dry milk and whey protein concentrate. Here's another cheese type spread, which has various dairy ingredients in it, and it also comes in multiple flavors. And then this is not a dairy spread, but it kind of is because it's really loaded with whey proteins. This is almost it is. It's a spin on like the Nutella, the hazelnut chocolate spreads, but they're healthy hazelnut chocolate spreads, I guess you could say. Whey protein isolate. This spread is more than 20% whey proteins in there, and absolutely no added sugars. And here's another one, and again, they're really calling out the whey protein here. It's part of the name, 22% whey protein, no added sugars. And here's a whipping cream. Again, not necessarily the ingredients being used for protein, but being used for deliciousness and functionality, cream and skim milk powder. And then let's jump to the freezer, and that's where we're going to end because we all love ice cream, right? That Joe Froyo product that I showed earlier, the drinkable cold brew coffee. Here is a ice cream product, lactose free, big emphasis on that. Milk protein isolate, hydrolyzed lactose. Again, most people don't think of ice cream as necessarily a source of protein, but here you have one. And here's one where the emphasis is on more of a keto formulation. It's loaded with whey protein concentrate, as well as higher fats. So you have a high fat, some protein, low carb ice cream. And then this is Rethink Ice Cream, really a better for you all around product where dairy is a key contributor of nutrition. And then lastly, even our little furry friends like ice cream, and why not make it better for them? This is Good Dog Frozen Treats, which contains cultured milk and whey protein powder. On that note, I'd like to end and say thank you very much. Stay well and stay safe. If you enjoy this presentation, my website, berryondairy.com, you can go to it. You can sign up for my newsletter called Daily Dose of Dairy, and every day I feature one new dairy product. Sometimes it's a product containing a dairy ingredient and talk a little bit about it from around the world. So it's a great way to stay on top of innovation and trends and moving forward. So I wish the best for you, and again, really hope that someday you'll invite me to your country and we can meet in person. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for those valuable insights, Nicholas and Donna. U.S. Dairy Ingredients deliver strong value in one package and can play a key role in meeting market and consumer trends, including nutrition, especially protein quality, which Donna touched on, flavor, clean label, functionality, minimal processing, and sustainability. I'd like to expand a bit on the U.S. dairy sustainability story. We're very proud of this story, which is a cycle that starts with the U.S. dairy farmers' commitment to unparalleled care and management of their cows to reduce the carbon footprint. Dairy cows, the original upcyclers, can digest parts of plants that humans can't, which helps keep food waste out of landfills. It also means that cows are not competing with humans for food. When it comes to water usage, U.S. dairy farmers have been conserving and reclaiming water for many years. They are experts at capturing water from dairy ingredient production processes for a range of other uses, often reusing it as many as 5 or 6 times. The United States is one of the largest milk producers in the world, with the average U.S. cow producing 4 times more milk than the average global cow. This greater per-cow productivity results in the U.S. having the smallest greenhouse gas emissions per unit of milk produced compared to other regions in the world. And within the U.S., the dairy industry contributes only 2% of the total U.S. greenhouse gas emissions. For comparison, the transportation sector generates nearly 29% of U.S. greenhouse gas emissions. And the innovation continues, as each year, U.S. dairy farmers progressively use measurably less water and land and contribute fewer greenhouse gas emissions. USDEC and the U.S. dairy industry are your innovation partners, and our offices around the world are ready to assist you in a variety of ways, such as providing formulation and application ideas, technical support, and also in identifying dairy ingredient suppliers to meet your specific needs.
Olá, estamos de volta, pessoal. Bom, meu primeiro comentário é 1 milhão de desculpas pelos problemas técnicos. Acho que essa chuva em São Paulo era um pouco inesperada e realmente impactou a nossa conexão, mas que bom que a gente conseguiu resolver. Então, espero que vocês tenham curtido, que tenham entendido e que tenham gostado realmente das informações fornecidas. E, bom, agora, claro que eu também gostaria de agradecer a Terry, a Dona e o Nicolas pelas apresentações muito interessantes. Um lembrete para vocês. Como todo esse webinar está sendo gravado, a gente vai disponibilizar o vídeo completo, assim como as apresentações em PowerPoint para vocês, tá? Então, se por acaso teve algum problema durante alguns slides, que ficou um pouquinho difícil de ler, isso vai ser definitivamente consertado no vídeo que a gente vai disponibilizar para vocês, tá bom? E fiquem à vontade para mandar suas perguntas, porque agora a gente vai oficialmente começar com as perguntas e respostas. A gente já tem algumas, tá? Mas lembro que existe duas possibilidades aqui para submeter perguntas para a gente, que, aliás, podem ser em português, porque nós estamos contando com tradução simultânea. Existe aqui a funcionalidade perguntas e respostas do Zoom e também aqui o box do chat, tá? Do Zoom também. Então, vamos começar. Vamos lá, todos os nossos palestrantes com o vídeo aberto, por favor. E eu tenho a primeira pergunta, ela é bem interessante, porque, inclusive, a Dona comentou bastante nessa parte de proteínas vegetais, etc. Mas eu queria falar primeiro com a Terry sobre, vamos lá, proteínas vegetais. Esse mercado, primeiro um comentário para ajudar também a nossa tradutora, o mercado de proteínas vegetais ainda é um nicho no Brasil, mas nos Estados Unidos nós sabemos que já ganhou bastante espaço. Agora a pergunta, Cecília, tradutora, há alguma vantagem em formular ou consumir proteínas lácteas ao invés de proteínas vegetais, como ervilhas, lentilhas ou arroz? Terry?
Thanks very much for that question. I'm really glad that you asked, because this is something that we love to talk about, because there definitely are advantages with using dairy proteins. So Donna touched on this, and I just wanted to emphasize that all proteins are definitely not created equal. We could fill an entire webinar just on this topic, but I'll keep it brief. I'll touch on 4 main advantages of dairy proteins over plant proteins. The first that I'll mention is nutrition. The second one is simple or minimal processing. The third one is clean flavor. And the fourth one is functionality or functional versatility. And I'll just touch on each one briefly now. So first, nutrition. So dairy proteins, meaning milk and whey proteins, are complete proteins, which means they contain all essential amino acids for human nutrition. And they have higher protein quality scores than all plant proteins. The only one that comes close is soy. And if you'd like to learn more about this, we will do a very deep dive on this in our the 4th webinar in this series, which is scheduled for November 15th, and that one will focus specifically on nutrition. Oh, November 17th, sorry, November 17th. Second, clean flavor. So dairy proteins have a mild, milky sweet flavor. They don't have off flavors, so you don't require masking ingredients to cover those flavors. Third, I mentioned functionality or functional versatility. So dairy proteins are very versatile. And in fact, milk and whey proteins actually have quite different functionality. So across the whole portfolio of milk and whey proteins, they can cover a very wide range of different types of functionality. So there's really a dairy protein to meet every need. And some of the key functional benefits are water holding capacity, heat stability, viscosity, emulsion stability, gelation, foaming. We have a technical monograph on our thinkusadairy.org website. It's called A New Era for Protein, Why U.S. Dairy Delivers in the Crowded Protein Marketplace. And you can download this, it's free. In addition, we will focus on this in our next webinar in this series, which is scheduled for November 5th, so in a couple of weeks. The last point I'll just touch on is simple or minimal processing. So a 2020 study earlier this year compared dairy proteins with plant and other protein sources when it comes to the degree of processing and the impact on environmental resources, starting from post-harvest through to production of the finished dry protein powder. And there were a lot of learnings, but I'll just mention two significant learnings very quickly. Processing of plant proteins might require the use of processing aids beyond simply water. For example, solvents, salts, alcohol, caustic agents, and bases, in comparison to processing of dairy proteins, which typically requires just water. And another main advantage is during the protein isolation and purification process. So something that would be done for isolation of all types of proteins, plant and dairy, non-protein co-products are generated, and these must be utilized or disposed of. And it happens that the co-products of dairy protein processing tend to find more value-added uses than those of plant proteins, for example, permeate and lactose. And we'll also talk a little bit more about some of those in the November 5th webinar. So that was a long answer, but hopefully that was helpful. So I'll pass it back to Carolina.
Ótimo, Terry. Não foi longa, foi ótima. Muito obrigada. Pessoal, a gente tem bastante pergunta. Deixa eu pegar uma. Vou passar para a Dona agora. A pergunta é da Laís, me perdoa, Laís, se eu falei o seu nome errado, mas é Laís Becker. Pergunta: todos os produtos de alta proteína são feitos com soro de leite em pó ou alguns utilizam o soro líquido?
I believe most of them are using the whey powder. That is how it is being processed here. Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that a whey stream is, unless, my understanding would be that a dairy processor who makes multiple products, so maybe if they are making cheese, they may then be able to use that whey stream if they were going to make a beverage out of it. But for the most part, whey ingredients are a dried that's the way the way it's processed. It's dried after cheese production. So Terry, can you add anything on that?
Yes, that's accurate, Donna. And I would say, in addition, from a transportation standpoint, you don't want to be transporting all that water if you don't have to. And for us to export to markets all around the world, we export the dry powder. It would be very challenging to export the liquid, which is going to have a short shelf life and be very prone to contamination. So generally, it's going to be a powder ingredient that's going to be very easy for you to use and to blend in with other powder ingredients that you might be using in your manufacturing process.
And the beauty of that would also be, again, being a powdered ingredient, long shelf life, long ambient shelf life, doesn't require refrigeration. I mean, just the economics of it makes sense to use the powder, and the powders hydrate very easily, in the different formulations and different product categories.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about the hydration, the procedures for hydrating the powders in the November 5th webinar.
Perfeito. Eu tenho mais uma pergunta para a Dona e a gente vai voltar um pouco naquela tendência de proteínas vegetais. E até uma pergunta muito relacionada a como a indústria de lácteos, ou a indústria que está acostumada a usar a proteína láctea, pode lidar com isso. Tradução, agora eu vou começar com a pergunta. Como que a indústria de lácteos dos Estados Unidos está trabalhando ou lidando com a tendência do consumidor de querer mais alimentos de origem vegetal? Você, Dona, tem alguma sugestão de como a indústria de lácteos brasileira pode fazer os ingredientes lácteos terem êxito com os alimentos de origem vegetal?
Yes, that's an excellent question, and thank you very much. I provided many examples in my presentation of products that are combining the two of them. And as I had even said in the presentation, dairy makes plants taste better, without a doubt. So the dairy industry and the ingredients and the products that we produce and sell, they're very compatible with plant-based foods. One of the opportunities is with a plant-based product, you'll never be able to achieve the density or the quantity of protein per serving by doing it just alone with plant proteins. The quality is not there. The flavor will prevent you from delivering such high levels of protein per serving. And that is where dairy ingredients can complement plant proteins in order to deliver that high protein product. That Muscle Mac product that I showed, I think is just a wonderful example. Whereas the pasta is a pea protein based, the only way to make it palatable is to have a delicious dairy sauce, and that increases the protein content. So what is going on a lot in the US is in the frozen food section, prepared food section, they'll have a lot of flagging of these are plant-based products. Maybe it's a salad kit or a vegetable lasagna or a pasta dish, but dairy ingredients in the form of cheese, in the form of sauces that are going to be based on maybe a milk protein isolate or a whey ingredient are added to these foods in order to boost the protein content. And again, you couldn't achieve that with plant proteins alone. So the two work really, really well together and are able to, again, it's not only delivering the nutrition that is so, desired right now, but also delivering on the flavor. And we all know if a product doesn't taste good, consumers aren't going to eat it. And, I'll just come back and say dairy makes plants taste good.
Ótimo. Muito obrigada, dona. Só para a gente variar um pouquinho de apresentador, tem uma pergunta para o Nicolas agora. Nicolas, eu gostaria que você comentasse um pouquinho para a gente como que o ATO, como seu escritório no consulado americano, pode ajudar a indústria brasileira a se conectar com fornecedores americanos ou até mesmo obter informações importantes em relação ao comércio de ingredientes lácteos entre o Brasil e os Estados Unidos.
Muito obrigado, Carolina, pela pergunta e bom dia para todos novamente. Nós aqui em São Paulo, no escritório do USDA, trabalhamos muito em fazer essas parcerias, ajudar vocês, aqui importadores e produtores brasileiros, a ter essas conexões com nossos exportadores nos Estados Unidos. A gente trabalha muito perto com grupos como o USDEC Export Council, como com a Terry, por exemplo. Se vocês precisarem dessa ajuda, nós poderíamos ajudar vocês a fazer essas matching, essas conexões com produtores. Nós também trabalhamos muito em missões fazendo missões comerciais, apoiando importadores brasileiros para ir nos Estados Unidos e ter aquele relacionamento com nossos exportadores. E eu vou ter nosso site no chat para vocês conseguir olhar ele. Nós também temos muitos relatórios e muitas informações sobre o que está acontecendo nos Estados Unidos, na parte de oferta e possibilidades de exportações. E sempre eu estou à disposição de todos vocês. Meu e-mail está na apresentação, eu vou botar aqui também no chat. E se tem alguma pergunta, sempre pode nos contactar. Muito obrigado.
Obrigada, Nicolas. Falando em e-mails, no nosso próximo slide tem todos os e-mails dos palestrantes, então fiquem atentos. E também, complementando a resposta do Nicolas, nós, como USDEC aqui na América do Sul, nós também podemos fazer as conexões para vocês e ajudá-los com toda a informação técnica em relação a todos os produtos. Bom, voltando, tem uma pergunta muito interessante aqui da Maria Eugênia, e vamos lá. Poderiam me informar se há produtos comerciais de bombons com recheios sem adição de açúcar e alto teor de proteínas? é um comentário dela agora. No caso de recheios de bombons ou barras de chocolates com alto teor de proteínas lácteas, existe um limite máximo do teor de proteína para que não ocorram problemas tecnológicos na produção do recheio e também da sua vida útil, do seu shelf life. Talvez seja um mix entre Terry, Dona, e também eu já vou recomendar aqui para Maria Eugênia ficar de olho no nosso próximo webinar, mas eu achei a pergunta boa. Com vocês.
I got it. Yeah. I'll just make a couple of comments and pass it to Donna. So yes, it is possible to incorporate dairy ingredients such as dairy proteins as well as dairy permeate into confectionery products such as chocolate. And on our website, again, we have a section where you can look at formulas and recipes, and there are many, I think actually several hundred different formulas there. And we do have formulas for making chocolate balls like a truffle with dairy protein. So it's definitely possible. And I mean, our position is that dairy proteins can be incorporated into foods for all different meal occasions, for all different types of the day, from appetizers to soups and sauces and entrees and desserts and beverages. So yes, that's possible, and we can help you with formulation if you'd like help with that.
And I will go ahead and add on that. It is possible. I always like to try to caution people as to what are you trying to achieve when you are adding protein to a chocolate bar. I mean, many of us look at chocolate as an indulgent product, but here's a great idea though, taking that the next step. So maybe you're creating these protein enhanced chocolate truffles, but then they become an inclusion for a yogurt product. So they're in the little top on the dome and you mix it in, or a little dual compartment product. So it's another way to further add protein to what is already a protein containing product. It could also be an inclusion, a mix-in in ice cream to further boost the protein content of the ice cream. Because again, all foods have limitations as to how much protein you can add into it. So making these, again, little mix-in truffles for yogurt or ice cream. There are also ways to make protein crisps. Even this is not confection, but croutons or little crackers that you would maybe add into a soup or top a salad. So, a standalone truffle that's high protein, again, there's limits into how much you could add to it, and is really the consumer, when they want to eat a truffle, are they really going for it for the protein? But it's a great way to add extra protein as an inclusion or a mix-in into things like yogurt and ice cream. And I think that's a huge opportunity. It adds value to the product. If you had a yogurt with protein enhanced truffles, it commands a higher price. It's a premium product. It adds value. It gives permission for the consumer to indulge. Again, you have the yogurt, but the extra little, indulgence to it. So I love that saying of how dairy protein gives consumers permission to indulge on great tasting foods. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and thanks, Donna, for mentioning the whey protein crisps, because we do have several processors in the US, several dairy processors that are making the crisps, and those are very easy to incorporate into a variety of different types of foods.
Muito interessante. Eu só vou mencionar, e isso fica na mesma linha do que a Dona falou durante a apresentação dela em relação ao pão, por exemplo. Porque quando a gente procura indulgência, a gente proteína, a gente nunca associa um pão com proteína, mas exatamente essa tendência de mercado que a gente tem visto. Tenho mais uma pergunta, acredito que a Dona que vai responder essa. A introdução de prebióticos e probióticos em produtos lácteos é uma oportunidade de agregar valor ao produto. Cecília, agora a pergunta. Quais os produtos lácteos com maior tendência de mercado para esse ramo de prebióticos e probióticos?
All of them. I mean, it's just a great opportunity. I mean, probiotics are inherent in milk, so it's adding them back, proven cultures, and then the prebiotics, the fiber which the probiotics live off of. Really, all dairy applications make sense. But here in the States, I can say that the foods that, well, yogurt is, because of its healthful halo, it makes sense to put more of the good stuff into a product that's already good, but that doesn't mean that I showed an example. We're adding probiotics and prebiotics to products such as ice cream. Not so much, actually, I don't think I've ever seen a butter product or a whipping cream product, but it's going to be, it makes a lot of sense into products that are pre-portioned. I think that's a very important attribute of these functional products, because in that way the consumer is guaranteed that they're consuming enough of the, or they're taking in enough to reap the benefits of the probiotics and the prebiotics. So when you have a cup of yogurt or a drinkable beverage, you know, it's again, you know that container has 20 billion live and active cultures, or whatever the case is. It has 5 grams of prebiotic fiber in the form of maybe, you know, inulin, chicory root, you know, whatever it is. So I say all dairy products can be used as a vehicle to deliver probiotics and prebiotics. I think what's best is to choose a portioned, single serve portion type container to do that, to ensure the consumer that they're getting, they're consuming enough of the active ingredients. One thing I think is also very important is to make sure you are educating the consumer as to the value of these extra ingredients, and never devalue the product by, you know, charging less. It should be a premium product. There should be some marketing that goes into it, and explaining to the consumer why you would choose this product over something else that doesn't contain the probiotics and prebiotics. Gastrointestinal health is so important now. There's never been a time where I think consumers have been so in tune with boosting immunity and the benefits of having a healthy inside, and dairy products are an excellent vehicle for delivering you know, to the gut the important cultures and fibers.
Muito obrigada, dona. Pessoal, a gente está se estendendo bastante no tempo aqui, mas a discussão está tão boa, e também eu vejo que está todo mundo super online ainda conosco, então muito obrigada. Alguns comentários. A gente tem muita pergunta ainda, então a gente com certeza vai ter que responder isso depois do webinar, tá? Então, esperem resposta por e-mail. E também, lembrando, eu vou disponibilizar a gravação para vocês, tá? Então, tem gente comentando aqui que não conseguiu acessar a do último evento. Vou mandar tudo de novo. E eu tenho uma última também comentário, tem gente também pedindo onde encontram as informações que todo mundo aqui está mencionando, técnicas, site, gente, thinkusadairy.org, é o que está aqui na tela, na linha de baixo, tá bom? Eu vou pedir só para mudar o slide para o próximo, não que a gente tenha terminado ainda a sessão de perguntas e respostas, eu tenho uma última pergunta, só para vocês também já terem acesso aos e-mails dos palestrantes, tomem nota e fiquem à vontade para entrar em contato com eles. Eu adicionei também aqui o e-mail do nosso escritório, tá? Caso vocês tenham alguma dúvida em relação ao nosso trabalho, material em português, a gente pode ajudar com formulações também, conexões, enfim, tudo que a gente já comentou. Vou proceder para uma última pergunta, que infelizmente não vai dar tempo de fazer todas. Dona, o que você acha em relação às bebidas veganas? Vamos lá, Cecília. Você acha que as bebidas veganas continuarão a crescer em popularidade entre os consumidores? Como nós, da indústria de lácteos, devemos observar isso?
Wow, that is a good question and a complex question. If I knew the answer as to what consumers are going to do, no, I mean, I laugh because, if you had asked me this question in January or February, my response would probably have been completely different because obviously COVID-19 has changed the way we shop, the way we cook, the way we eat. And so again, anything can happen. However, the idea of a vegan beverage, you need to look at it from various angles. So are we talking a vegan beverage, which is going to be, like 100% fruit and vegetable drink? That to me is a vegan beverage, right? Then there's the beverages where they add these nut juices that we'll say, like, an almond or a coconut. And again, that still is a vegan beverage. However, it doesn't add that nutrition that a dairy ingredient would add, and the deliciousness, that creamy component. So I do think the cold pressed juices, without a doubt, are going to continue to be popular. I mean, they just cold press, the 100% fruit and vegetable beverages, especially the ones that are, again, cold press, ready to drink in the produce department of the grocery store. But that's very different than the other ones. So the ones with the nut component. So yes, I think the fruit and vegetable juices will be. The other ones, again, if I knew exactly what tomorrow's consumer would want, I would be really wealthy because I would be investing in those products. So anything goes with our consumers. But what has happened is people are more in tune and more aware of nutritional value. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to have these types of beverages be vegetarian in the sense that they have dairy in them, just not ground up meat.
Can I add to that, Carolina?
Sure.
Yeah. So I just want to really emphasize that last point of Donna's. So vegan, yes, vegans don't consume products of animal origin, such as dairy, but vegetarian or even flexitarian diets, that's really where dairy fits in. And that's going to be really the majority of the population. People are looking to consume in moderation, and that's going to be a larger portion of your market than people that are looking to completely eliminate, whole food groups. So I think, focus on products where dairy and plant ingredients can live together. And I think you'll have greater market success.
I fully agree.
Eu ia dizer exatamente isso, super concordo. Ok, eu sei que eu disse que aquela era a última, mas a gente é brasileiro, a gente sempre tem aquela que a gente fala saideira, the last one. Porque chegou uma pergunta muito boa aqui, então eu vou fazer para vocês. Tem se falado muito sobre a proteína láctea e a nutrição dos lácteos, mas em relação à indulgência e os lácteos saborosos, o que a gente pode comentar exatamente em relação à alta proteína, à nutrição, mas também ao sabor? Alguns exemplos. Creme, manteiga, sorvete. E a pergunta é, quais são as oportunidades que vocês veem nessa área?
Is that for me?
So go for it. Go for it, Donna.
Well, I sort of touched on it with some of the examples I said with the ice cream and with the yogurt, and even like smoothies. I really love the idea of permission to indulge, and so that's where dairy proteins come into play. They really are. I mean, they're delicious. You can't you can have a spoonful of whey and you'll be like, this is pretty good. You want to take a spoonful of something else? You're going to want a glass of milk to drink it down, right? So the beauty of things like you said, butter and cream, are their simplicity, their naturalness. They're one ingredient. You look at I think a really good example would be a coffee creamer. So something that has happened during COVID here is that refrigerated creamers at our grocery stores are selling out like crazy, because no longer are we stopping at our Starbucks or our other coffee shops. People are making coffee at home, and they want that indulgence experience. They don't want it to be a bad cup of coffee. They used to treat themselves once a day. Now they still want to do it at home. So these creamers it's a huge category. It's growing here in the US. And you look at a dairy creamer, it's one ingredient, right? It's cream. You look at a non-dairy creamer, there's about 6 or 7 ingredients on there. And then you start looking at maybe the flavored ones, that might be some sweetened products. We can keep our labels very simple and clean and delicious, and it takes a lot more to make non-dairy products even come slightly close to the taste and the mouthfeel and the word deliciousness. So that's where, where an opportunity exists. It's simple and delicious. You're not trying to mimic what we have naturally. Terry?
No, I totally support what you said there, Donna. I think dairy products, whether you're talking about proteins or milk powders, or as Carolina mentioned, butter, cream, they're inherently good tasting, and they they add that flavor to anything, to anywhere they're used.
Ótimo. Gente, essa foi oficialmente a última pergunta. Vou me controlar aqui para não fazer mais. Bom, então gostaria de agradecer a todo mundo. Antes de todo mundo ir embora, por favor, segura aí mais alguns minutinhos. Eu tenho uma última pergunta para fazer para vocês em relação ao conteúdo desse webinar. Então, eu vou lançar aqui um poll. Adoraria, muito agradeceria se vocês pudessem nos avaliar e avaliar o conteúdo desse webinar para a gente continuar melhorando. E também gostaria de comentar que a gente tem mais um webinar nas próximas semanas. Vamos mudar o slide, por favor, que tem também a informação sobre o próximo. Como eu comentei no começo, esse webinar ele é o segundo de uma série de 4 eventos online. E o próximo é muito, muito empolgante. E, aliás, eu acho que vai ser o mais esperado, porque muitas das perguntas que a gente recebeu aqui é muito sobre aplicações. Então, a gente vai falar sobre usando proteínas lácteas dos Estados Unidos em alimentos e bebidas, suas funcionalidades e aplicações. Esse webinar de hoje já ficou um pouco longo, então o próximo vai ser ainda um pouquinho mais. Então, se vocês puderem separar 2 horas, seria legal, porque a gente vai trazer demonstrações para vocês em laboratório, tá? Vai ser dia 5 de novembro, uma quinta-feira, às 10 horas da manhã do Brasil. Como que vocês vão se inscrever, gente? Olha o site, www.lácteos.com, tá? De novo, lácteos.com. Também no e-mail de agradecimento que a gente vai mandar automaticamente pelo Zoom, a gente vai mandar esse link para registro, tá? Dúvidas, por favor, me escrevam, nos escrevam em todos aqueles e-mails que a gente também ajuda vocês a se inscreverem. Bom, acabou aqui o pool, então, enquanto eu já comentava dos resultados então, do próximo webinar. Então, vou gerar o resultado para vocês, porque é muito legal a gente ver que a gente está no caminho certo. Todo mundo o pessoal acha que foi excelente, então, muito obrigada pelo feedback. E, então, agora eu gostaria só dos últimos minutos de convidar os oradores a falarem as suas palavras finais, para a gente realmente encerrar o evento. Então, primeiro Terry, depois Nicolas, depois Donna. Terry.
Thanks, Carolina. So I just want to thank everyone for joining. We really appreciate this opportunity to share information about the products that we love. We love dairy, and we think that there are just so many great ways to use dairy ingredients. So thanks so much for joining, and we hope that you learned something from this webinar and join us for the next ones in this series.
Nicolas?
Muito obrigado novamente pelo convite. E uma coisa que eu queria reforçar é nossos exportadores nos Estados Unidos têm uma coisa muito importante, que é o que a gente fala em inglês, reliable. Na minha apresentação, vocês escutaram como nossa indústria teve que se ajustar aos desafios do COVID-19, do Covid, mas ainda nossos produtos conseguem exportar produtos de qualidade para o Brasil e para o mundo todo. No futuro, qualquer coisa que vocês precisarem, podem contar com o River Globo, Carolina, e com o USDEC aqui em São Paulo. Muito obrigado.
Obrigada, Nicolas. Dona?
Sure. Well, thank you again very much for this opportunity. I really do hope I get to come out there sometime soon. But I think the biggest takeaway I have is the food industry overall has changed, is changing, is evolving so quickly based on, the current the pandemic situation. And it's consumers everywhere are more in tune with their food, with its impact on themselves. They want to stay healthier, how it's processed, how it's prepared, what it delivers. And it's a great opportunity to talk up the nutritional value, the ingredients, what the product is all about. And it just presents such an opportunity. It's like today's consumer wants this information. That they are ready to embrace and to learn, and they have time. A lot of people have time. You can research more online. You can look up what is whey. Why do I want it in my diet? And learn more. So it's an opportunity to work with and use and deliver and produce healthy, delicious products and provide that information to the consumer as to why they're going to want those products. And again, like I say, it's evolving, and that to me, that's just presents an opportunity that did not exist back in January when we were all, running around like crazy people and grabbing a banana out the door and not sitting down for a bowl of cereal and milk, maybe, or a high protein bagel with, the high protein Nutella and a glass of milk. So thank you.
Muito obrigada novamente. Bom, gostaria de agradecer a todos que ficaram com a gente até agora. Nossa audiência continua alta. E até o dia 5 de novembro. Obrigada a toda a equipe River Global, ao USDEC, ao USDA, a Dona e todos que estão por trás dessa organização. Até a próxima, gente. Tchau.